Greetings, everyone. This is Shaman Wendi Morrison, Indigo Nahal Galactic Shaman, and I am an animal communicator as well and run an animal sanctuary in the mountains at the entrance to the sequoias. I've been sharing my wisdom and experiences through my Orange Ray 3 YouTube channel since the early 2000s and forward. I am a lifelong advocate for both the animal kingdom and humanity as a whole, and all those related to humanity, which was a project, and that would include many other planetary systems and galactic races that all have their origins in the animal species. That said, I've made some very interesting observations through the course of my spiritual path and the areas that led me to this moment. Not only being raised in Hollywood and the entertainment industry, and my psychological observations and experiences, which are vast, starting at an extremely early age, 2, 3, in that realm, my experiences in that realm, and yet my spiritual calling as a shaman coursing through my veins, all during which ultimately taking my individual experiences growing up with my parental units and mashing them into the path that was my own, it is clear to me that all of those experiences were vital to being able to really dissect and understand this moment in human history. An indigo Nahal basically signifies that I was a first wave indigo, part of that first wave indigo seeding, which was basically activated to counter the corruption and the enslavement of humanity via outside forces that infiltrated. Let's just put it that way. Think about it from a military perspective, only galactic. So we were corrupted from the inside out, much like we have been experiencing with the war we are now in the middle of. Most people don't realize that we've been in a war for many years now. We have been. And I've been charting that. I would venture to guess, really, that the war began decades and decades ago. And it's been a very slow rollout. One of the key factors was taking a lot of the quote-unquote scientific gains that were enabled through the Nazi regime and the experiments and experiences that the doctors, psychologists, that's really when the birth of psychiatry occurred. And the globalists that dictated the plan to transpose the Nazi takeover of Germany into a more methodical, slow rolling plan to take over the United States, and the mind control aspect, the minds of the U.S. citizens, which has 100% occurred. Now, some of these alliances, allegiances, they did not start on this planet. You have to remember that humanity is a hybrid experiment, really. It was an experiment in creating humans, the human hybrid. Yes, it got hijacked, and other DNA pools were interjected that were not originally intended to be there. But nonetheless, the unification of the human template has been altered to hybrid in pretty much all the other intergalactic races and species. So we are not pure in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't matter which vein of us you want to even talk about. This has been a hidden history. It is a long rolling project so that it would not be detected. But a lot of this is coming to light now. So one of the things that I want to tie together in this conversation is that the push for control of the human mind, as it's been relegated to the American Association of Psychiatry, again, which is a front for the origins of the Nazi mind control program. The DSM-5 has dictated certain things and labeled certain things. And subsequently in the mental health system, what basically has transpired is that they knew that the human species was evolving. They knew that many of us had DNA and blood types that were going to lead the edge in this evolution, such as O negative blood type. They knew that we were multidimensional. They knew that we have portals to our planetary systems accessible to us. They knew this. So they spent decades targeting the aspects that would enable this evolution of the species to occur, such as the pineal gland, calcifying that with fluoride toothpaste so that we could not receive our cosmic activations, our DNA upgrades, our access to our akashic memories, our energetic skill set, being telepathic. You know, these are all having healing elements, you know, self-healing elements available to us. All of these things were, excuse me, were systematically rewritten in history and suppressed, so that we would not realize and we would not come to the understanding and acknowledgement of our supreme nature. And so if they labeled clairaudience, which is hearing spirit guides and being able to hear, information audibly, as schizophrenia, then that individual could be shut down immediately and then suppressed, put on drugs to prevent any more evolution and revelation from taking place. So that has been systematically done. So many of the people that they have on pharmaceuticals, antipsychotics and behavioral meds, bipolar, all of these diagnoses, quote unquote, as such as they are really non-existent. They just literally took human nature and decided to suppress those who were organically adapting ahead of the rest. Another example of this: when you take into account somebody's identity, there's a lot of different factors that need to be considered into this. Obviously, gender, age, demographic, race, ancestry, history. All of these things, get compiled in. But the other thing that really doesn't get paid much attention to is, and I know a lot of people are going to laugh and scoff, astrology. Astrology, whether you're looking at Western or Vedic, is incredibly illuminating as to what the core foundation of a person is. So in other words, I'll use this as a metaphor. In my dealing with animals, there is a huge difference between goats and cats and chickens and ducks and rabbits. Big, huge difference. We can throw dogs in there, but I'm more of a specialist in the areas with the animals that I just aforementioned. A goat isn't going to do anything that it doesn't want to do. And the best thing to do with goats is not to confront them, not to say, okay, look, we're going to do this. It's the same way with horses. Horses have a very similar, at least my Mustang, which is a rebel horse, so that makes more sense. But you kind of need to ask them to do things. You kind of need to, you need to propose what you want to do, and then ask them, hey, don't you want to do this? Let's go do this. You get a much more positive experience and reaction from them than if you try to force anything on them, because you'll get immediate resistance. Now, it's easy to see how that applies to people in humanity, in our society. Equally so, and I don't have sheep, but I can see that in the rabbit temperament, where the rabbits are more timid and they just go along with the program. They'll fight amongst each other, and they can get super violent. I mean, if you've never heard a rabbit scream, you don't want to hear it. It's blood curdling. It sounds like a human being desecrated. But they'll fight and get vicious. I mean, the mother will kill their babies, like, no problem. If she doesn't want to be a mom, she's going to kill her babies. You don't think that of rabbits, though, do you? They seem so delicate and harmless, and they are in a societal interspecies environment. And that's the way sheep are. I see that in just sheep, the temperament of sheep, like they don't want to make waves. They just kind of like go along. Nobody should stand out. And I can, cats are the same way. Like cats, you really have to approach them with intelligence and entitlement. And as long as you do that, you'll win them over. You can't act like a cat is just a cat. If cats think you think that they're just a cat, they're gonna give you just a cat. It's gonna be annoying, and it's gonna be habitual, irritations that show you that you don't control the cat. But if you jive with the cat nature and you respect them as the goddesses that they are, they will bow down to you and give you their allegiance, and you accept them as they are, just like the goats. That same template transposes over to humans. We're all designed differently. A Capricorn is not going to be the same as a Libra. A Virgo is not going to be the same as a Sagittarius. It's just doesn't work that way. And the astrological signs are broken down into elements: earth signs, water signs, air signs, fire signs. And so within that, you note that the air and the fire signs get along better because air feeds fire. And the earth and the water signs get along better together because water feeds earth. So there's beautiful poetic aspects that are so simply embedded in the mythos of our historical understanding of information, beginning with the earliest beginnings of time, recorded knowledge or thoughts or philosophies. Everything goes back to the beginning. You can't erase it. You can't take it away. Astrology is a science. It's a mathematical science. And it's vital to understanding how we as humans and the human species, which is a byproduct of a galactic signature in an effort to heal the war in the galaxies amongst each other, amongst each of the races, trying to unify all of these animal species, all these animal races, to unify them through DNA so that we could have one species that was unified and had all of our interests embedded into the DNA template. And so as the human race, this is what we are a byproduct of. And yet you can see, because of the suppression of information, because of the manipulation of agendas to control the energetics of this planet, we are kept in the dark, and we are still, in spite of the fact that the humanity project, the Earth project, was supposed to be a unifying project that would bring us all together and override the need to war. It's still that, because of all of the agendas and outside intervention to prevent the success of this Earth project from transpiring. Now, I've been in this game a long time. In this particular incarnation, I was born right into everything that I needed to experience to advance the mind wipe, to advance the waking up from the mind wipe. I 100% from the earliest of consciousness, like fluid consciousness, I would say like 2, 3 years old, completely knew and understood what I was here for, what my purpose was, and it was really about gathering up information, puzzle pieces, if you will, as I moved along. I had a teenage mother. We were in Hollywood in the early 60s, 1963. My mother worked for Procter & Gamble, which was the first ad agency really to begin the mind control program through fluoridation in the toothpaste, really promoting Crest toothpaste specifically. So targeting the pineal gland through fluoridation, which calcifies it and prevents it from receiving its upgrades. From there, she went on to be a secretary in the studio system. In the beginning, at Desilu Studios, which was Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz's studio. Shows like the Beverly Hillbillies and Petticoat Junction, Mayberry RFD, obviously the Lucy Show. Those were all handled at that studio. From there, my mom went on to Warner Brothers and Sony. So, my stepfather was a cinema photographer, Emmy nominated, and went on to be a director of photography. We were on location in Hawaii in 1967 with the first Hawaii Five-0 show, a Hawaii Five-0 TV series. So, and it was in Hawaii in 1969 that my mother, who was a seeker, because she was very young, embraced Transcendental Meditation, which was Hinduism. And we were part of that early movement of the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi coming from India to the States, Hawaii being sort of the forerunner of that movement hitting the States, had a large community. The Hare Krishnas were another byproduct, but not the same as the more traditional Transcendental Meditation movement. But anyway, so I was exposed to a lot of, as I said, things that I needed to, as an Indigo Nahal, be exposed to get up to speed while I was waking up from the mind wipe and recovering my Akashic memories. My mother also was an MK Ultra. She just, by way of being a beautiful bombshell blonde and being in the studio system, she was accessed and sent off to be programmed. Not that she knew this, she didn't, but it's easy for me as an observer, at this time, and then in retrospect, to see how she got to this point. So she was referred to Cal State LA. Took me a while to remember. They had a psychiatry department, and my mom's boss at Procter & Gamble had recommended she go there. And because she had a lot of problems being a young mother. and later the dimensions of being Catholic and also having a father who sexually molested her. These are all components that are indicators to the system, the matrix system, that you are a good candidate for the mind control program. And so she, not knowing all this, was sent on in. And I, as her daughter, and being, 4 years old, was just kind of brought along into experiencing whatever my mom experienced. So I can remember at a very early age being in an adjacent office and having a therapist attempting to program my mind. And I, as a 3 or 4-year-old, sat there with an adult mind, fully understanding what was happening, to my mom in the next room, being completely conscious of it, and somehow knowing how to block out the programming. So, and obviously, I'm just a child. I'm not consciously aware of the agenda. I'm literally just relaying to you, because I can put myself there instantaneously in that moment. And I can remember as the therapist was trying to indoctrinate me, in my mind talking to myself, telling me what was happening. So whether these were my spirit guides that, have guided me throughout my life, whether this was my higher self, I have no idea. I just always remember being fully consciously aware. I don't remember having a child's perspective. And moments, yeah, but not really. Like, the inner me was very complex and very aware of everything, taking in every little bit of information that was going on around me at all times, and trying to process things, and also trying to solve problems. So having a mother that was very sensitive and probably an indigo, not probably, I know she was, but she wasn't awakened. They were able to slam her down and get her pumped full of pharmaceuticals and really kind of kill her light. And as much as it hurts me to say, her light was diminished and taken off the rails a long time ago, which is something that I just wasn't going to let happen to myself. So being aware of all of this at an early age, I fought really hard. I fought everything and everybody, and that might have to do with my Capricorn moon. The goat in me was just gonna, no, I'm not having it. My mother is a Libra, and just easier for her to, do what was expected, I guess. Not that she wasn't a fighter when she was younger, because she definitely was. That's kind of how I got a lot of my spunk. But I don't think she ever imagined that she would have a daughter that would so far exceed her shenanigans. Anyway, we're given what we need. Our souls come here for reasons. You're either part of the process of the learning curve of growing your soul, beyond duality into the full spectrum of multidimensional reality our species is ultimately a part of, or you've already transcended that and you've been sent in here, back here, to help disengage the oppressive matrix system that has kept humanity in Saturn's cube, in Satan's cube, in the cube, the monochrome karmic cube of duality, and which is rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Ultimately, we were supposed to get to a point where you rinsed and repeated so many times you finally got it. But the way this system has been hijacked, there have been blinders put on, blindfolds put on, history hidden, skill set hidden, knowledge hidden, unifications disengaged, all in an effort to keep us hostage here. And this is a moment, this actual moment in human history is what I personally have worked my entire life towards, methodically, waiting. They only give us so much information. They rely on us getting up to speed on our own, doing our own research, uncovering, doing the inner work on our own, freeing ourselves of the matrix system, because really it's an inside job. Each one of us are responsible for that part. If you got here and you woke up out of the womb and you have that spark, it's your job to resist the indoctrination of the system at every freaking angle. And again, there's no handbook. You don't come here, wake up and go, wow, I think I'm a part of this other thing. And someone says, yes, you're right. Here's the handbook. Get up to speed. But I'll tell you, when I got here in 1960, there was nothing. It was like a desert island. There was no way for any of us to connect with each other or understand what was happening here. There wasn't an internet. There weren't people that understood this. What there was this movement that was happening. And it happened in the early 60s. And it was, again, entering when they were trying to wake everybody up. And we came, and immediately it was assassinations. It was, the transcendental meditation movement, the hippie movement, the free love, all this stuff. And that was when so much of the mind control programming began with the infiltrations and the hijacking, so that the pure message of a lot of that was corrupted and again owned by the system that controls this place. And it's the globalists, it's interplanetary agendas, it's a lot of things. It's the 13 bloodlines that quote unquote own this place. we were just slave labor, you know. They just took us over to be slave labor for those 13 families, like, you know, herds of sheep and goats. They just took us over, and you can look at a lot of what happened in Nazi Germany as the way their system works, and that's played out over generations. Now they've got it finely tuned and oiled into this hot mess we're in right now. But understand, there is a war going on. And it's not about left or right. It's not about up or down. It's about stuff you can't even begin to comprehend. Like, your mind is not going to be able to really embrace the truth, because the indoctrination of your mind and the hijacking of your truth and reality as a human being has been completely illusionary. And nothing that you think you know is the truth at all. And the only people that are going to actually be able to survive this are those of you that can reach inside, that have always suspected certain things. And you can tap into that and allow yourself to be open and fluid, so that you can consider some of this new truth, so that you can discern what is authentic and what is lies. It's like being able to see through AI. Are you going to fall for it, or can you see through it? Do you know what real humanity feels like? Because that's what it's going to take at this point. They have it all figured out. They've got it, everything up, mental health problems up, label that. Oh, give them pharmaceuticals, lock them down, lock their mind down. But I guarantee you, so much of human nature that they want to label and prevent is the exact part of our human nature that we need to tap into to understand who we are and to accept the organic nature of our beingness. And so much of the issues that people suffer from, gender confusion and things relating to all that, you would see that it's organic. It's organic. We've always been a multisexual species, because we have multisexual DNA within the spectrum of the animal races that we are lineaged from. And so all of that is natural. What is unnatural is the hijacking of it, and the corruption of it, and the defiling of it. All you have to do, once again, is be around animals, and you'll see there is an organic part of their sexuality that is not dualistic. And what I mean by that is, it's not either or, it's not this or that, it can be bi. You have to understand that our perspective is inorganic, and it's been fueled by labels and the system that wants to control you through fear and shame And that system operates through organized religions that operate through fear and shame. And they contort sexuality to be demonic. And there are demonic aspects that contort sexuality to empower themselves. So, again, we can't go around judging everything from a place of duality while striving to become multidimensional beings, because there is a multi-dimensional facet to every part of us. The way we love, the way we think, the way we live, the way we express ourselves sexually. But we have to stick with the organic aspect of it, not the inorganic, agendized, controlled, oppressed version of it that serves a negative agenda within the exploitation of humanity. And that's really what has been done. Humanity has been exploited, right? Through withholding of information, even. The evidence of the human species being a hybrid of a mixture of animal races, interplanetary animal races, is further validated throughout our history, from the earliest of cave paintings to hieroglyphics. All those depictions include snake people, cat people, bird people, dog people, the dolphins, the cetaceans. All of those are part of the intergalactic planetary race system that we are a byproduct of via this Earth project, human project. Human, hue is a uniting tone. Human. We are part of this project, and this is why so many of us are vastly different from each other. I mean, you can adapt almost the different cultures on this planet, from the Islamic nations to the more traditional Asian nations to the Anglo-Saxon, to the indigenous. Everybody's, got a different spin. And then again, a connection to those different races, the bird tribes, the cat tribes. A cat will play with something until it's dead, thinking that it's just playing, like we're just playing a game, right? Like, that's how vastly different so many of those mixtures are, so intention is everything. And I just think we need to be looking at a lot more when we look at each other than what we're now perceiving. And we ultimately need to remember that this world is energy. It began with a tone, a frequency, and it grew from there. And all of consciousness came into inhabit through physical avatars as humans within this experience. And So in breaking out of the matrix system, ultimately the organic answer, the organic antidote, excuse me, not antidote, that's something different, antidote to, the hijacking of the system is that we continue to evolve in the way we were organically designed to, overriding all of their programming and hijacking, overriding what they're trying to introduce with, AI and bionic men and women, ultimately. It's funny because, if you make the word trans acceptable, like, doesn't that also transfer to transhumanism? Because bionic men and women is just, another way of saying transhumanism. And that is to ultimately override, their goal is to override all of this, what they perceive as dysfunction in the human project, because they perceive it as not having succeeded. But their goal was not for it to succeed, because they want to harness all of this energy, and they feed off of a negative vibration, just like we feed off of, ultimately a 432 vibration, hertz, 432 hertz. I literally can have a toothache and take my 432 tuning fork, 432 hertz, and just tone it and just lay it right on my jawline, right, outside the area where the tooth is hurting. And that toothache goes away by the end of the tone of that frequency dissipating, just by holding it there. I mean, I have to continually do that, not every 2 seconds, but, like every maybe 30 minutes. But I don't need to be on pharmaceuticals or anything else, I can manage pain in an organic way. And we all, and that's all kinds of pain, mental, physical, whatever the pain glitch is within the avatar structure. We are designed to override it and self-heal. But we have also been hijacked in such a way that has allowed all of our organic skill set to be dormant, untapped, unrecognized, unacknowledged. Like, they've gaslit you, They've gaslit us. They gaslit humanity into submission. And that's the saddest part of all of this. So, as the band Midnight Oil stated, better to stand on my feet than to die on my knees. Better to stand on your feet than to die on your knees. Yeah. 1,000,000%. I'm going to stand up for humanity, and I hope you do too, because that's what is needed, and it'll have a ripple effect for generations if we can steadfast and stick with this push against this gigantic Trojan horse that is trying to devour all of us. Stand up, push back, let things be known, spread the light, reach into your own heart, heal the wounds, overcome, stay at a high frequency, overriding their need for something lower, and understand that we're in the war. We're in a war. This is war, and we're at the part where we all need to like frickin' pull it up our bootstraps and hold the line, because there's a huge, push right now of fear and desperation that could trample all of us if we don't stay in our bodies and take deep breaths and remain human. And when I say remain human, I mean we are a byproduct of the unification of all of us. Our hybrid is, the human hybrid is the frickin' unification. As much as they want to divide you into divisionary tactics and then tell you it's diverse. No, it's divorce. It's not any of that. Unification is where it's at, baby. United we stand, divided we fall. We are a byproduct of each other. We are a slice of everything, all of us. Doesn't matter what your background is. The human DNA project in and of itself is that. We are all everything. They just told us that we're this or that. And because they created this dualistic system that we gauge everything from this or that, it's like keeping us in a ping pong game, So jump out of that game. Think for yourself. Feel for yourself. Do your healing. Do your inner work. Shine like the beautiful light that you are, and rise up like the phoenix we all have the potential to be. Rock on.